Well, we're going to review Ring of Honor, NXT UK, 205 Live, and of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. All of that will be discussed and reviewed on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted WrestleZone. All things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So let's start with Ring of Honor. So they only had a two match, but some of the stuff in between is really good what they put out. So basically, they put out like a video package sent by Amy Rose, who is part of La Facción Ingobernable, which is Rush's group. As you know, no one's seen Rush or his brother Dragon Lee since the pandemic, but Amy Rose made it perfectly clear they're returning. Basically, if you guys have forgotten, Rush is the current Ring of Honor World Champion, and his brother Dragon Lee, or in Japan they call him Lee, he is the current Ring of Honor Television Champion. So I'm excited to see these guys return. But however, Kenny King, who is also part of that faction, is set to be in a match in that very episode. So we'll get to that in a bit. The first match they had is a tag team between the Soldiers of Savagery, Moose, and Moses, and Khan, who were part of Shane Taylor's promotion, facing off against Dan Boys, the Briscoes. Now, this is a pretty good match to see because we're seeing the newer wrestlers trying to take the Ring of Honor by storm versus guys who have won the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on multiple occasions. And this time, you see them trying to prove they're worth it. But of course, you cannot outbeat guys like the Briscoes. But however, during the match, they're being observed by an unusual person they have teamed up before. I'm talking about EC3, who reappeared not too long ago as in Ring of Honor for whatever reason. But when the match was won by the Briscoes, that's when things are starting to get out of hand. Jay Briscoe was questioning EC3's looking over them. I don't know what is EC3's motives, but Jay Briscoe does not like it. Even his brother, the other Briscoe, I forgot his name, doesn't like it whatsoever. So it kind of became more like, what is going on? But the other is trying to say, just let it go, let it go. But it didn't. But it didn't end there later. But we'll get to that. And then, well, let's get to that right now. So it's already been announced that the next Ring of Honor episode, we're gonna have Jay Briscoe versus EC3. So this is something you don't want to miss. So you better stay tuned for that. So I'm excited to see that. I hope you guys do. Now we're getting the return of Matt Taven, the face-off, a member of the Horror of Honor, Vincent's old faction with his mate Bateman, who is one of the newer signees from last year. He's facing off against Bateman due to the fact that Matt Taven hasn't forgotten his history with Vincent, but Bateman is willing to fight him no matter what. So this is going to be an interesting fight to see. So I'm excited to see that too. Now, the match of the night was between Kenny King and Shane Taylor. They both had like a video package. You talk about Shane Taylor talking about his history, how far he's come, and how he was close with Kenny King in the past. He did face Kenny King in the past, and came up short. But Kenny King did say that you have no idea how good you are. So basically, Shane took that in consideration. So he's now very power hungry. And as for Kenny, you know the same story that he felt that he's being overlooked, that the Ring of Honor's been ignoring him about his talent and all this and that. But however, ever since he joined La Facción Ingobernable, that kind of changed. But now this match that he is set up with Kenny King and Shane Taylor is determining who is hungry for a title shot. Now, Kenny has no problem facing against his teammate Rush because they're brothers. It's Shane Taylor who wants to prove something. So he has more to lose than any other person. But this is one of those matches that kind of tells the story like who wants it more. But in this case, that person who won is none other than Shane Taylor. But I'm excited to see what happens next. So if there's going to be a war between both Shane Taylor's faction and La Facción Ingobernable, I'm dying to see that. So I can't wait to see where we're going to go from there. So I think that's it for Ring of Honor. So let's move on to NXT UK. All right, NXT UK time. So first match of the night was Joe Coffey versus Sam Gradwell. So this is one of those matches where Joe Coffey wants to teach a guy like Sam a big lesson. Now, there's still that whole thing where people saying, does he still have that ring rust because we haven't seen him for quite some time since the pandemic happened, and of course his involvement of what happened at Speaking Out movement. But didn't seem like he missed a beat. But it was a good match, so it did show that he is still dominant as always with his faction Gallus. It was a good match. So Sam, well, he came up short. So, but it didn't end there. While Alexander Wolf was giving an interview, you see the rest of Gallus celebrating. Now Wolf thinks that this is ridiculous, is kind of pathetic out of their part. But however, Coffey hasn't forgotten about what happened the last time, since he was facing against Wolf's leader of Imperium, Walter, costing him a his title shot. But he's up for payback. And I can't wait to see that happen. So I don't know when that will happen. Hopefully next week or so. Well, I'll find out when we get there. Now, as you know, the whole thing with Jordan Devlin, who we know what happened to him since the pandemic and, of course, the Speaking Out movement. He is still considering himself the true cruiserweight. However, he wants to prove that he is the true cruiserweight. He thinks that Santos Escobar is just an insult. So basically, he was talking with Sid Scalia, the assistant of general manager. So apparently, he was confronted by both Kenny Williams and Amir Johnson. Now, Kenny is still not cleared to wrestle, but however, Amir is, so they discussed they want to be one of them to face off. So it's now been confirmed that Amir Jordan will face Jordan Devlin for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Well, this is going to be a little tough to witness. I want to see how this goes. Now we have tag team action time. We got Pretty Deadly, Lewis Hallwell and Sam Stroker versus Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. So as you know, they have insulted Pretty Deadly a week ago during Sid Scalia's interview, acting like this is the National Geographic episode. So they didn't appreciate that. So Sid Scalia actually set up this match. But however, Smith and was it Carter came up short. Pretty Deadly cheated their way through, as always, because that's what they want, and they want to prove that they earned a shot of the NXT UK tag team titles. We'll just wait to see where they're gonna go with that. Now, as tensions arise recently with Eddie Dennis starting a feud with Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, turns out turning the hunt against them. So basically, Morgan and Webster had a very, very harsh message towards Dennis. But however, they haven't forgotten their betrayal by the Hunt, who they known each other since they were young, and now they want a payback time. So basically, they lit a fire under them. So still no clue when they'll have this match. But however, they got to be more careful with that sadistic Eddie Dennis, who's really crazy. Now the next match is Levi Muir, I hope I pronounce it right, versus Saxon Huxley. As you know, Levi is a brand new wrestler coming out. Saxon Huxley, well, I barely seen him since many times. I've seen him since the start of the NXT UK at the BT Studios. Uh, I wasn't too much sold on the match, but I'll give you guys the results anyway. It's Saxon Huxley who won. Now, however, we're getting closer and closer to the final match for the Heritage Cup, and they gave a little interesting video package with Trent Seven and A Kid. How A Kid has been wrestling since he was 13 in Spain, and Trent Seven, we know his reputation throughout the Indies. So this is something that we gotta pay attention. I'm not sure if this is gonna take place this coming Thursday, but I can't wait to see it. Now it's main event time. This is for the NXT UK Women's Championship for in a Falls Count Anywhere match between Piper Nivens and Kaylee Ray. Now, as you know, Kaylee Ray stirred the pot here with Piper Nivens not too long ago, try to bring out the killer instinct. The match was good. I liked how it was going, but however, Piper Nivens got screwed, not by Kylie Ray, by Ginny. Ginny believes in her mind that Piper Nivens had her chances. It's time for someone like her. Now, this is how I would picture the following. The Kaylee Ray will thank Ginny for helping her, but Ginny will say, I wasn't helping you. She was going to say, I'm helping myself to prove that I earned to be there. The Piper Nivens had her chances. But what do I get the feeling that in this scenario, there's going to be a three-way fight for the title? You may never know. But the real question, can Kaylee Ray hold on to this title as much as possible? We'll just wait and see when the upcoming NXT episode comes out. So let's move on with 205 Live. Okay, 205 Live started with an interesting tag team match between the Bollywood Boys and Everrise. As you know, Everrise are a bunch of cocky dudes. They trying to claim that they should be at the top, but however, the Bollywood Boys actually like to have fun. That's what they do. But however, Everrise tried to do their easy tricks to win matches, but it did not work. The one thing that was interesting is Savir grabbed the camera and whacked one of them. So that match allowed them to win. But however, they actually were paid a visit by Arya Davari. Basically, he was impressed, but he felt that a little too late by their behalf not to pull out that move sooner. So basically, they were like, "What are you talking about? We won anyway." So basically, Davari has a different point of view how to win the match, but he wasn't there to wrestle. He was there to, how do I say, to be part of the commentary because the upcoming match was between Ashante the Adonis versus his friend and also 205 Live original Tony Nese. But before we get to that match, there was a video package sent by Kurt Stallion. Now, as you know, Kurt Stallion won the match a week ago with that little five-way match who was going to win a number one contendership to face Santos Escobar for the NXT Cruiserweight title. Now, everybody congratulated him except Santos Escobar. So Stallion made a point that Santos was not impressed. Basically, Santos believes that no one deserves that title shot. That he thinks that no one can beat him, that he's untouchable. Well, you may never know. Kurt Stallion actually pulled up the impossible. So, we'll just gotta wait and see. But you know for a fact that Tony Nese and Davari will not take that lightly. But we'll see where we're gonna go. Now, let's jump into the main event, which was Tony Nese versus Ashante the Davari. Ashante the Adonis, my bad. So anyway, the match was going great in every aspect. You see, there are some moments where Adonis was in fact being cocky, where he thinks he's all that, but he loses track what's going on. But however, at some point in the match, Davari wasn't going to tolerate Adonis to pick up the victory. He felt that guys like Adonis, guys like Stallion and Gray, they don't deserve to be there. They don't earn a damn thing. It's all to the originals. But however, he almost screwed Tony Nese, almost whacked him with the chain. But however, it didn't go his way. Adonis picked up the victory, and both Nese and Davari are in disbelief. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks with Adonis and see what the 205 original members have to say about that. So let's move on to NJPW Strong for the New Japan Showdown. Okay, so we're now doing the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong for the New Japan Showdown. First match, tag team action with the Regal Twins versus the Young Lion, Clark Connors, and the DKC. This is a very interesting match. As you know, there's always dynamics involved in this type of matchup. You look at the Regal Twins, they are a cohesive unit. They've been together for long time. But however, you look at Clark Connors and DKC, just a team that was formed. But however, this is like one of those things where, like, okay, who will win between the most experienced tag team or the team that actually, how do I say, tries to be cohesive as much as possible, knowing that there's no chemistry. But however, this was a really good match. I enjoyed it. Like, you don't know who was gonna win. But to my surprise, it came up to Clark Connors and DKC. So they picked up the victory on this one. It was very good. I have to say it did show, okay, that maybe Clark Connors and DKC can work together, because we do know Clark Connors is the fan favorite in the NJPW Strong. So we'll see where they're going to go with this one in the upcoming weeks. Next match, it's Russ Taylor versus Rocky Romero. Now, if you guys don't know this, they were partners once before, but apparently things dissolved. Russ Taylor actually joined Team Filthy with Tom Lawler and JR Kratos. There was moments in this match Russ Taylor was trying to do whatever it takes to win by putting Rocky in a submissions, but apparently it was not enough. So basically, Russ was scouting every move that Rocky was going to make. But however, Rocky was very close, but there was no escaping Russ Taylor's submission. So he tapped out, and of course, Russ Taylor sent him a message that he's done for. It's time for him to step up, taking the spotlight. But we do see in the next match, JR Kratos, Russ Taylor's partner, also a member of Team Filthy, facing off Jeff Cobbs. Now, this is another good match to watch. You see two behemoths face each other. Now, you have no clue. Now, watching this match, I felt it would have been in JR Kratos' favor due to the fact that the dude is all tough, all badass. But however, it didn't go in that particular direction. It ended with Jeff Cobb applying the Tour of the Islands finisher on Kratos, picking up the victory. But however, that wasn't the end of it. It ended where Team Filthy members Tom Lawler and Russ Taylor showed up to get their retribution against Jeff Cobb. But however, many other people show up on Cobb's defense. You had Fred Rouser, who Filthy Tom Lawler beat not too long ago, and of course Rocky Romero. Now all of a sudden, when almost everybody were out, it was a 3-on-1. But here comes Danny Limelight, who Rocky had his eyes to say has a bright future. All of a sudden, he turned his back on him, aligning himself with Team Filthy. But however, it didn't end there. PJ Black showed up to the rescue. So it looks like we may see two teams facing off for dominance. So that is something that is going to happen. We don't know when or when is that going to happen. But we will keep following up on this as soon as possible on the next NJPW Strong. Now let's get to the main event. This is for the briefcase that contains the contract for the IWGP United States Championship. As you know, that title is currently being held by Jon Moxley, who we all know he's also the AEW World world champion. This is a match where David Finlay will get a chance to obtain the title. But Kenta, well, you know Kenta's history. He's a very powerful striker, but he will do whatever means necessary to cheat his way to maintain. He said he doesn't care what people say or what his opponents, that they will lose regardless. But this was a very interesting match. However, the one thing I did like about this match is where the ring announcer, the commentators, both Alex Kozlov and uh, Kevin Kelly, were thinking, okay, we know that Bullet Club could be in the building, they could help out, but the majority of the match, they didn't even show up. They just decided to let Kenta do things on his own, which he did. But there was a moment that Kenta pulled up his tricks where he knocked out the ref, that, and of course using the briefcase to ensure he wins, and that's what he did. But this time, at the end of the match, he's calling out the one person he wants, the one person he wants to face, the one person he wants to dethrone for the IWGP United States Champion, and I'm talking about Jon Moxley. Now there will be talk about that. I will discuss about that in the podcast soon, and we'll get there when it's possible. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's very short. Right now, gonna get ready to watch to review more of the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors, and of course World Tag League, and of course we got Survivor Series coming up, so I may review that one. I don't review Raw or SmackDown that much, but if there's any cool stuff, we'll see how that goes. So I must bid all of you guys adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.